Sometimes I like to think about the future of marriage. Where is it going? Is it going to even exist in the next generation or not? What are the benefits of marriage? Marriage in the broader society is absolutely going to be a remnant of the past. I think it was started as a religious institution, as a societal institution, and now it's just become an economic institution. And I think that the burdens of a divorce outweigh perhaps the economic benefits of being married. And marriage is really being attacked from so many different angles. From a macro level, the ideology, the system that we live in, I mean, this liberalism or secular humanism or postmodernism, whatever you want to call it, right? The ideology that the individual is the most important, your rights, your freedom, your pursuit of happiness or whatever it might be, your pursuit of desire is the most important factor and the most important goal just doesn't work with marriage. The over exaggeration or the concentration on an individual is just not in line with what marriage is all about, right? In order for marriages to be strong, a society has to believe that there is value in family, that there's value in a community, that there's value in building the next generation and to pass on your traditions and your knowledge to further generations so that they don't make the same mistakes as you. From a, that's kind of from a macro level. From the community level, and especially from the Muslim community level, we see a lot of problems because of first generation, second generation, immigrants versus non-immigrants. And we can kind of see that, okay, our parents came from a very communal society where your reputation, your name, your last name, the family that you came from dictated everything. Just like our current society has a over concentration or overindulgence in individualism, perhaps you can argue that our parents had an overindulgence in what other people thought or their reputation or how people respected them. Any society, any group of people, any ideology fails when it has extremes. We have to strike the balance. A marriage is based off of values. You can look for looks, you can look for wealth, you can look for lineage, but the most important thing to look for is deen, right? Meaning their practice, meaning their values. This applies not only to marriage, it applies to community, it applies to nations. Look what's happening in our country right now. Because we don't align on values, it's almost like there's a civil war, right? The point is that there's a problem of values. And the way that our community is starting to shift into picking our spouses mostly online, where all you really see is how they look and how they portray themselves. You're not getting a look into their values. You don't know how they were raised. You don't know how their family is. There is a lot of benefit from our parents' generation in how making sure that your family is important, making sure that your societal perception is on point, and raising children with certain values can be and is a positive thing when it comes to marriage. I talk to a lot of people about staying in your hometown. We have this infatuation with moving to some other state with other opportunities and coming into a new society, into a new community. And I think that's all great. But there's also a lot of benefit in being in a particular place for a generation or two or three and knowing people and knowing where they come from and how they are and the values that they share. And I think that can help build stronger marriages than relying on only internet. And I know there's been obviously a lot of success in that. The point is that we need to strike this balance. We need to come away from the modern day view on relationships and adapt what our tradition and our culture offers us. And finally, on an individual level, men especially don't have that building of character anymore. What do I mean? Before, it was all about table manners and the way you presented yourself, being able to control your anger, being able to have patience, serve people, being a gentleman, getting rid of certain diseases of your heart. There was a concentration on a individual's character and their spirituality, which is entirely missing today. Many marriages fail because of lack of character, lack of being able to communicate, getting too angry with somebody, not being able to forgive, not having patience, not having those characteristics that our parents and our, the generations before us cared about so deeply. And without those values and without that spirituality, without that building of your character, tazkiyah, as we might say, is not going to lead to anything great in terms of marriage. The other problem is that we have a stigma against addressing mental health at an individual level. There are a lot of community members who suffer from, let's say, depression, anxiety, bipolar, whatever different labels you want to put in. It may not even be a label. It might just be, mental health issues in general that our community doesn't want to address. And it is something that is weaponized against individuals. But we as a community have to make sure that we make mental health help more accessible. So to sum up, I do believe that marriage is on a decline, that the same benefits that it provided previously just are not applicable from an economic perspective. I think that our society's over-rotation towards individualism is a problem for marriage. I think that from a community level, the different values that we have and the lack of a system to align ourselves with people of similar values is an issue. The spirituality, that character building, and finally, our reluctance and stigma against mental health. I think all of these reasons is going to lead to the decline of marriage, unfortunately. And I hope that we as a community can acknowledge these issues and can work on these issues and hopefully be the community that shows what marriage is all about and the benefits that it can bring. If you stay till the end of the video, subscribe for future videos. I thought I was going to make a video about marital settlement agreements, but it sounded kind of boring. Anyways, until next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.